What's up, YouTube? It's your guy, Darren, the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. I love looking good and smelling great. That's what we talk about on this channel. So if that sounds interesting to you, man, go ahead and click the subscribe button if you don't mind. And take another second, because it might take you, probably gonna take you about 4 seconds. Click the bell icon as well. That way you get notified every time I upload new content on the channel. So guys, on today's video, we're gonna be talking about 10 fragrances that leave a very sexy scent trail. That sexy sillage is what we call it. SS, sexy sillage. That's what we're going to be talking about today on this video, guys. These fragrances have worked for me. When we talk about leaving that nice scent trail, that's going to make people want to follow you and find out who exactly was that is wearing that fragrance. That was me, and that will be you. So I got 10 fragrances for you today that fit that description. So if you want to hear about those 10 fragrances, you know the routine, you know how we get down. Keep it locked right here. All right, guys, we're back. Thank you so much for keeping it locked in, man. Let's go ahead and jump into this list today, man. The first fragrance that I want to mention today comes from the house of Nasomatto, and this one is called Baraonda. Baraonda. This is a very, very sexy, boozy, woody fragrance. And unlike a lot of kind of gourmand type fragrances that you smell, it's really sweet. This one is just really woody and sexy. It has a nice boozy accord in the opening with whiskey, but it just does something different. It's really hard for me to explain, but this one leaves a very, very nice scent trail, and it's really, really sexy. Usually when you start talking about sexier fragrances, you normally find boozy accords, sweet gourmand accords, and things of that nature. And this is a nice boozy fragrance. So if you want to have a fragrance that's nice, boozy, and leaves a nice, sexy scent trail, then I recommend you check out Baraonda from the house of Nasomatto. All right, guys, before we move forward to the next fragrance, I always say this. I try to give a good mixture of fragrances, designer, and niche. But I have to give, of course, true lists. Fragrances that really work for me in these occasions that the list is calling for. So there are a few designer fragrances on here, but I do understand some of these niche fragrances are more expensive. So again, guys, check out Scent Split. I always say, check out Scent Split. Anything, most of the higher end niche fragrances that you want to sample, which I highly recommend you sample anything. Really, if you're spending over $100, I recommend highly sampling anything that you buy before, sampling anything and trying it before you commit to a full bottle. So check out Scent Split if you want to get some samples of any of these fragrances on the list today, because they will hook you up with a nice sample, a decant that will give you enough fragrance where you can really experience the fragrance to tell if you want to invest into a full bottle. All right, the next fragrance on this list, this comes from the house of Prada, and this is Prada L'Homme Intense. Prada L'Homme Intense. Now, I've said this before, I think this fragrance may be one of my best performing designer fragrances in my entire collection. And a lot of times when you find a fragrance that's going to really leave a scent trail behind, normally it has pretty good performance associated with it, and this is a beast mode performing fragrance, and it just smells fantastic. It's amped up. If you like the original Prada L'Homme, this is just Prada L'Homme on steroids. And again, people are going to be able to pick up your scent trail when you wear this because it performs so good and it smells great. The iris in this fragrance is absolutely amazing, and people just want to inquire, what is it that you're wearing when you wear this stuff right here, man? So another one that leaves a very nice, sexy scent trail from the house of Prada. This one is called Prada L'Homme Intense. All right, guys, the next fragrance on this list comes from the house of BDK Parfums, and I've talked about this one before. This is called Rouge Smoking. Rouge Smoking, and this is a sexy sillage right here. It has a beautiful cherry accord in this fragrance. And it's unlike cherry you smelled before. It's not really like Tom Ford's Lost Cherry, which is another, I think, popular scent that features a more of a cherry accord. But this thing is really, really sexy because it has that smoky nuance to it, just like the name of the fragrance indicates. It's really, really sexy. So you have the fruitiness, of course, and that brightness that you get in the opening with the bergamot and the cherry. But then it dries down to something very, very sexy and smoky. And when you walk out of a room, People are gonna know that you were there. And they're going to want to know what it is that you have had on. I'm telling you, I have experience with this and experienced that with this fragrance. So another one I highly recommend you guys try. If you're looking for a nice fragrance that is sexy to leave, you know, a nice scent trail, check this one out from BDK Parfums. This one is called Rouge Smoky. The next fragrance up on this list today, I've talked about this one a lot on the channel for good reason. This one is called Terre de Hermès from the house of Hermès. This fragrance tends to make a lot of lists because it's so versatile. It smells great, it's a great office scent, and honestly guys, again, it just really leaves a nice scent trail. It's a masculine fragrance, but it's citrus, and most people, even if they're not really into fragrances, tend to really gravitate toward liking a citrus-based fragrance. And this is citrus-based, but it does have that really, you know, kind of smoky and earthy nuance to it with the gunflint and the vetiver in this fragrance. I always say it's a dirty citrus fragrance, and nice combination. Leaves a really, really nice, sexy scent trail, masculine scent trail. So I've talked about this one a lot for good reason from the house of Hermès. This is Terre de Hermès. All right, guys, the next fragrance up on this list today comes from the house of Bond, number 9, and this one is called Scent of Peace for Him. Scent of Peace for Him. I've told the story before about wearing this fragrance and being out in Walmart and having the lady turn around and come back and ask what I was wearing. I was really a pretty good distance away from her when she first noticed it. So this fragrance really, really is good when you talk about attention and you're talking about a nice sillage. It doesn't really remind me a lot of a vintage. A lot of people say that, but to me, this fragrance really does its own thing. It does have black currant in it and pineapple, but this one is more about the grapefruit to me, more so than the pineapple. So, but anyway, enough about the whole vintage comparison. This is a great fragrance if you're looking for a nice, sexy sillage. Check this one out if you have it for some reason from the house of Bond number 9. This is Scent of Peace for Him. Love that bow tie, don't you? Next fragrance on the list, guys, comes from the house of by Kilian, and this is called Intoxicated. Intoxicated, guys, I'm telling you, man, this stuff is just amazing when you talk about a scent trail. This is coffee, this is cardamom, this is nutmeg and cinnamon. So you have the nice creaminess that you get and that sweetness that you get from coffee, but the nice spicy masculine tinge that's added to this fragrance with those nice spices. Two of my favorite spices, nutmeg and cinnamon, all in the same bottle. This thing leaves an intoxicating scent trail, hence the name of the fragrance. If you have never checked this one out, I highly recommend it. From the house of by Kilian, this is called Intoxicated. All right, guys, the next fragrance on this list comes from the house of Amouage, and this one is called Lyric Man. Lyric Man from the house of Amouage. This is the fragrance I always tell this story that really got me into the note of rose. When I first started collecting, you know, my mindset was that, you know, most rose fragrances are going to be feminine leaning, not really something that I would gravitate to or really want to wear. And this fragrance really changed my mind about the note of rose. It is a sexy, masculine rose, and I'm telling you, the sillage on this stuff is absolutely fantastic. The first time I wore it, my wife caught the sillage. She started wearing it as well because she really liked this fragrance as well. And as you can see, fragrance is down to here. And for somebody like me that has as many fragrances as I have in my collection, to have only this amount of juice left, that tells you that this fragrance is in high rotation in this household. So beautiful, sexy sillage, rose, incense, lime, ginger from the house of Amouage. Try this one out. This is called Lyric Man. Enjoying some coffee today as always. But let's move on to the next fragrance on this list. And this one is, you guessed it, Club de Nuit Intense Man. Club de Nuit Intense Man. I'm gonna tell this story in case you guys have never heard it before. One day I put this fragrance on. My wife was not home. I left to go to work. I had to go by Walmart first. By the time I got to Walmart, about 5 minutes later, before I reached Walmart, she called me on the phone and said, "What are you wearing today? Because I still smell it in this room. What are you wearing?" I was wearing Club de Nuit Intense Man. Now, I got to Walmart And walking into Walmart, I had a lady ask me what I was wearing, just walking in, true story. She caught the CI as I was walking by, asked me what I was wearing, and as soon as I got into Walmart, another lady inquired about this fragrance. Need I say more? Sexy CIs. This definitely had to make the list from the house of Armaf. This is Club de Nuit, Intense Man. All right, guys, the next fragrance on this list, one of the best in my collection when you talk about CIs, comes from the house of Creed, and this is Silver Mountain Water. Silver Mountain Water. This is a beautiful fragrance, man. And it's crazy to me to think that when I first put my nose on it, for some reason, I wasn't the biggest fan when I first put my nose on it. But I've told this story before. By the time I put it on my skin, drove to work. By the time I got back to work, it was about a 10-minute commute. I had to turn back around and go pick this up. And it's been in my collection ever since, and it will always be in my collection, because when you talk about attention, you talk about a fragrance that leaves a sexy CIs that a lot of women want to know what you're wearing. Trust me, guys, from the house of Creed, you need to put your nose on this one. If you haven't, for some reason, this is called Silver Mountain Water. All right, guys, I'm coming in at the #1 spot on this list. This one comes from the house of Mancera. This is called Cedrat Boise. Cedrat Boise. This one made my #1 fragrance from the house of Mancera in my current collection for a reason. It smells fantastic. It just simply put, it smells fantastic. And what you'll find, if you have not noticed this already, most fragrances from the house of Mancera have really, really great performance. This one is no different. This stuff just really works, guys. And of course, there's always going to be that comparison that a lot of folks go to a vintage. But again, just like I mentioned with Centerpiece for him, this and a vintage is really not that close. It's not as close as a lot of people make it out to be, in my opinion. I know scent and fragrance is a very subjective thing, but to me, it's not really that close. There's some slight resemblances there. You can potentially tell there was some inspiration drawn there, but a totally different fragrance to me. This is a lot creamier to me. So, but again, we're talking about CI, we're talking about scent trails. This fragrance is absolutely amazing from the house of Mancera. This one is called Cedrat Boise. All right, guys, that's it. That's my time. I hope you enjoyed this video today, as I brought you 10 fragrances in my collection that leave a very sexy CIs. As always, I appreciate your time and attention to these videos, because of course, I know you guys could have been doing something else, but thank you for taking a few moments to check out the video. I sincerely appreciate it. Now, don't forget to take a few moments to like, comment, and subscribe, and take a few moments to go ahead and share these videos out to other folks that you think could use this information or find it entertaining, because I'm your guy, Darren, the Bow-Tie Fragrance Guy. I love to look good, and of course, I love to smell absolutely amazing. So until next time, guys, keep looking good, keep smelling even better. I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.